Hello, I am Oracle Laura, and this is my show, the talk show, Oracle Laura Show. And today, my very special guest is Brandon Krum. Now, Brandon, he was an actor, and then he went into producing. And what's really exciting today, we're going to be discussing horror movies. So he has produced a lot of horror films, and we're gonna get into that today. So, Brandon, I was looking over some of the horror movies that you've done, and I
Yes.
know I was sort of going in order of what you're doing more recent. So there's Strict,
Oh
am I
yeah,
saying that right?
that was a really fun one I shot in Texas.
Oh, in Texas. Well,
Oh
that's
yeah.
befitting. I don't know if I want to get into that.
Oh, those
and
they're always fun in Texas.
is that the one with the Ouija scene?
I believe there is a Ouija board scene in that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sort
So
of related to that, me being a psychic medium and all. I thought it
oh
was
yeah.
cool.
Oh, I love Ouija board. I actually have one right back here. You probably can't see it, but I have a glow in the dark one, and then I don't know if you know what Funko Pop is, but Funko, they release little mini figures, and they just released a Ouija board planchette figure based on the Ouija board little planchette thing you move around. So I was like, oh, I have to get this. So it's a Books a Million exclusive. So if you're into that kind of thing, you should look at Books a Million, and they have an exclusive little Ouija board planchette. And I thought, man, that's gonna look cute, like really next to the Ouija board there. So
I love that. I do
oh
have a
yeah.
Ouija board. I guest starred on Travel Channel Expedition Unknown,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
they had me bring the Ouija board. And I remember my spirit guide, they were like, oh, yeah, well, you're not going to be using it, but she wants it, so bring it anyways. And I'm like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? I've got to lug this all the way to Vancouver Island for nothing. And
Right.
they're like, yeah, she wants you to bring it. So what I did is I have a new one, but I brought the original older one, so it'd be more spooky.
Oh
And of course,
yeah.
they didn't have me use it. So they
Son
just
of a
filmed me
gun.
doing like tarot and everything instead.
Yeah.
So, but that was sort of cool.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's always fun when you can bust out the Ouija board. It's unfortunate. That's production though for you. They're always like, hey, bring all this stuff. You probably won't use it, but it's good to have it.
And they cut
In
my
case.
scene.
No.
They had me into the
Oh.
final cut, and they kept saying, how do we want your name in the credits? And then they cut me, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, the network, they just said it was too long, and they needed more time for the show, so
Yeah.
you're out. I'm like,
that's
what?
that's showbiz for you. You never know if you're gonna make the cut. And sometimes it's nothing personal. Sometimes it's just, man, we got to, for pacing purposes, we just got to go bam, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. It's like, well, take something else out, but
But take me out. My
right,
fans
don't
were
take you
so
out,
sad. My fans were like, no.
Yeah, that is a bummer when you don't make it. So on Strix, I had a little movie scene in that, and so I was seeing it with Billy Blair. He was from Battlestar Alita. I don't know if you know that movie with produced by James Cameron and stuff, but he was in that movie, and I was like, wow, I really want to be in a scene with him. And so we filmed the scene where I get killed and stuff. I mean, spoilers, but and then when they were editing the movie, it was like it was an effect shot. They had to do some CGI on it, so they were like, I don't know if it's going to make it. We have to send it to this guy to get. But luckily, they were able to get the CGI done, and it all worked out. But I was sweating bullets, when I was like, oh, my scene with him is, we're gonna get cut. But luckily, it's in there. But I know the pains of being cut out of a production sometimes, or when I filmed for like 3 days, and then all I have this one little appearance. So it happens. That's show business. Don't take it personally.
I try not to. And the other movie that you've done is Massacre Academy. Tell me about that one.
Oh, that one was great. That one was shot in Pennsylvania, the great state. They make a lot of horror movies there. I don't know if you know, like Dawn of the Dead, the original one with like the mall and all that. Yeah, all that. Even Night of the Living Dead. The first few original ones were filmed there. The Day of the Dead may have been filmed in Florida though, so that one went all over the place. But the first two by George Romero were done there, and so for me, it was sort of magical to kind of go and visit the mall while I was filming this this movie, because I actually drove in my Hummer. I bought a Hummer H3 to kind of drive around to movie sets and stuff, and so it was just really beautiful to kind of drive through the countryside, and get to see a lot of the country. And then when I got there, I was like, well, I have my own car. I'm going to go see the Dawn of the Dead mall, So once I was done filming, I kind of just snuck over to the mall, and it's still in operation too. It's a real working mall. So there's, shops, and they even have a little mini museum that wasn't open when I was there, but there's a mini Dawn of the Dead museum inside the mall. And so for me, it was really great to just I love to go to filming locations. I'm not only do I make movies, I'm a big movie fan. So I love to go,
have to be. You
yes,
have to be to do horror flicks.
Yeah, you really you have to have a passion for films in general, I think, to make them, because they are a lot of work. It's not just easy, because sometimes it's really long hours. You're away from your family a lot, but it's always worth it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's the life. You're always traveling or doing, but the fun thing is you're usually always meeting someone new and you're having new experiences. And I think that's the important thing in life, is just live life and have fun and do new things. Don't be static.
Getting back to the Hummer.
Yes, that's right.
Sorry, I'm just like a real business person. I'm always like getting ideas and I'm always inspired. And I was just thinking, your name is Krum.
That's right.
How about the Krum Hum?
Oh, I like that.
That'd be good on the side of your Hummer.
It would,
for a license plate, the Krum Hum.
I do like that. Right now, my license plate is TH3TNK, the tank, But I like yours. That's maybe a little bumper sticker or something would be pretty fun with that.
It promotes your studio, Krum Studios, right?
That's right. Yes, that would tie in there. So, I usually try to keep things, kind of slick looking, and like not too bumper stickery, but that's not a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Because it is good to promote yourself sometimes. Every once in a while, you gotta somebody's going to do it. If you don't, who else is going to do it? So. Yeah, now, it's always good to take some time.
You also worked on a vampire one. It was Nest of Vampires.
Yes, that was actually a UK production, and I was really trying to get. At the time, I hadn't really done like those classic horror monsters, like the Dracula or vampires and werewolves yet. And werewolves are coming. We'll get to that in a minute. But I really wanted to start doing some kind of callbacks to some of my favorite movie monsters. Because I'm a big fan of Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman in particular. I'm really a fan of these characters. And actually, I worked at Blood Manor. I don't know if you know what this is. Blood Manor is New York City's premier haunted attraction. And when I worked there, I played Dr. Frankenstein. So I was like, doing all that kind of stuff when people are coming in. And so for me, that those characters mean a lot to me, because it's kind of like I love the movies and I played, the character sort of in a live action way. And so, when they came to me and said, hey, we're doing a vampire flick, I was like, man, I think I'd like to get involved with that. So, I kind of helped fund the production and it was just really kind of a nice learning experience. And it was also good to connect to people and in a way make movies around the world now, because it's overseas. I'm from America, but horror fans really have no boundaries. We're worldwide, baby. There's
that's right.
And there's some really great places overseas that are like haunted places too. I don't know if you ever watched Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters, all those, like they've gone overseas and I'm like, man, they have all the cool castles. It's not fair.
I want a castle.
I know, right? It's someday we'll get there, but I've not gone to castles. There's plenty of insane asylums here in the United States though, so those are fun to
no kind of combat. No.
Right. Yeah. I'm not saying I broke into them, but I'm just saying
I walked into that one.
That's right. Yeah, but they're fun, So I for me, it was nice to be able to kind of, in a way, get back to those classic monsters in a way. So for Master Academy, it was sort of a newer thing, but with Nest of Vampires, it was a way to kind of go back. Okay, well here's the classic monsters. Whereas, Master Academy and some of the other ones are more like the New Age, where it's sort of like a newer, slasher type thing with Master Academy. Because there's a guy in a mask and, he's going around killing people on campus, that kind of thing. Whereas the other one is like as the title says, it's vampires. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of these newer projects I'm working on too. But, when you kind of get done with the movie making process, it's fun to be able to look back on the ones you have done, because one, when you're making the movie, it's sometimes it's stressful, it's long hours, but when you're able to look back on it, it's like, oh man, I had a lot of fun, and man, look how, especially as however many years start passing, you start, man, I look so young, or whatever it is, so it's just I think it's nice to be able to have these little moments of time captured So in a way, for me, that's why I like doing movies. Is they're kind of like little time capsules that you can always look back on. You know what I mean?
I wanted to ask you, what are your, I don't know, the most goriest or best or scariest scenes in some of those ones that you've produced?
Oh
What are the ones
man,
that the fans really love? What's their most
yeah. I think
popular favorite?
I've heard. To me, I've heard a lot of good things about Master Academy. I have a death scene in that. I'm not gonna. I think the movie's out, so I can kind of say some spoilers. But there's this big massacre. There's a big party scene in the movie, and that's the kind of one of the scenes that I'm in is this big massacre scene where the main killer is at this. He's basically going through this party and slashing people up. And one of my favorite parts of it was I play this character named Corey, and there's this other Corey, so there's two Corys, and we both team up and we're trying to attack this killer. And we run up, and I have this baseball bat, weapon, and he just kind of grabs the bat, and I kind of like I'm holding on to this weapon, and he kind of stops us and he smashes our heads together, and so we're kind of like so it was pretty great. I was like, man, it'd be really cool. It's right on set, that they're like they're gonna put just a little dab of blood. I was like, it'd be really cool is if we could get like this little string of kind of brain matter goo coming between our heads, and so I talked to the effects team and they're like, yeah, we do have something kind of like that. So they got this stuff. And so when we did the scene, it was just really kind of fun to see, our heads kind of tear apart and, this goo kind of come between us. It was really great. I think that's one of my favorite kills on screen so far, but there's some stuff in some of the scripts that I've read and they're coming up that I'm really excited about. I'm either whether I die or not, but there's some really fun, gory things that are coming up. I'm really excited about it.
I do like the idea of the brain matter just because it's something I haven't seen before. It's good to sort of become iconic in a way, having a certain scene that no one's ever done.
Right. Yeah.
And be known for that. So I think it's important, like you said, to sort of come up with different ideas and say, well, hey.
My cat's saying hi. He was like, he gets jealous, so he's like, hey, what's going on here? This is Flounder. Say hi to everybody, Flounder.
Hi.
He wanted to be on the show too. He loves your show, so he's like, I need to get on this thing. So don't mind him if he just pops his head in every once in a while.
No, that's cute. In fact, it's ironic because just earlier when I was getting ready, I'd already had my outfit on, I'm all in black.
Yes.
And this black cat walks past my window and he stops. He's got these big green eyes. And
he
stops
beautiful.
And he stares at me and I waved him like I say hi and I'm like, oh my God, that was like such a weird coincidence. Here's this black cat.
Oh yeah. To me, black cats are good luck. I also have one of those in my house. His name is Junior, based on the you probably don't know this, but Arnold Schwarzenegger made a movie named Junior back in the day, and so I'm a big Arnold fan. So for me, I work for Arnold's official fan site, the arnoldfans.com. So that was I'm all over the place. I'm not just horror movies. I like action movies. I like movies of all kinds, really.
Okay, that explains why I saw you were on TMZ about Arnold.
That's right.
You were doing an impersonation of Arnold, and I'm like, why is he a horror guy? Why is he doing this? And I was wondering about that.
Yeah, you're kind of like, what? You're mixing genres here, As far as I'm aware, Arnold hasn't really done a full-on horror movie. He's done some close stuff with a recent movie called Maggie, where his daughter turns into a zombie. And back in the day, he did a movie called End of Days, which is
that's one of my favorites. I love that.
Yeah, that one is that was a great film for me, and I actually saw that in theaters back in 1999 when it was coming out. So for me, that one is sort of a fun horror movie, and you still have people like Stan Winston, who did the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park and the Terminators and Predator and all these other stuff. He did the effects of Satan and all that in that movie. So it just has some great effects, some good horror elements, even though I would say it's sort of a horror action movie, isn't it? I'd say it's more horror. I mean, when I've watched it so many times, I want to get it on DVD so I can watch it some more. But I'd say it's more horror. Yeah.
More by the storyline.
And since it's
for today.
yeah. And we just we're into the new year just now, a few days into it. So End of Days also ties into that because it's a New Year's Eve kind of end of the world type thing, So if you didn't remember that, it's a movie to watch around this time of year. But I mean, so I'm all over the place. If you look behind me here, you can kind of see, like Batman and Terminator, and over here is the Jason Voorhees and all sort. I'm all over the place, with my fandoms. So, and I think it's important to have, some of the, for me anyway, this kind of stuff is collectible. The collectible stuff inspires me, to kind of keep going and be creative and say, okay, well, here's things that have been done, and I would like to do something similar, or something in the vein of that. So that's why I keep all this stuff around me, is to inspire me. This is
My
the
daughter's
collection
that
around.
way. She's got
Yeah,
like all
yeah.
the little figurines, and she's got, her boyfriend gave her like a case to put
Oh
everything
yeah.
in, so it's all in one spot. And she's got like
Hmm.
all these different new additions now to all her figurines. She's into
Oh yeah.
action figures and stuff.
It's a little addicting sometimes. So I
Yeah, I could
know
say it's
where your
turned
daughter
out
is
for
coming
her.
from. I mean, if you this is it's taken years to get this. So I wouldn't be, you don't be like, man, you did this overnight. It's taken a while to amass a collection this big. So don't worry. I'm not that crazy.
So, have you, being a psychic medium here, I want to sort of get onto that topic a little bit. We talked about the
Yeah.
Ouija board, but have you yourself ever had a deja vu or a psychic experience, or you felt like you saw something that, you weren't sure if it was a spirit? Have you had anything like that even during filming, or?
Well, I did when I went to go film in Georgia for a movie called Go Straight to Hell. We were filming at basically in the middle of the night, in this abandoned insane asylum. And after takes, some of us would kind of to go and start exploring and go ask questions and stuff. We'd take some pictures, and I got a really interesting photo of this kind of, it depends on what you believe, but it could be some kind of arm, a really weird extended arm kind of formation in this photo. So I thought that was pretty weird. And then another time, just I was at home actually, and we kind of had these visitors, and I thought it'd be fun to bust out the Ouija board. And so we were using the Ouija board, and I poop you not. I don't know if this is a family show, so I don't want to swear too much. But yeah, we heard like this kind of carousel music or something like that while we were using the Ouija board.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a phantom noise, what I'm saying? I don't know where this music came from or anything like that, and I haven't actually ever seen a ghost, but I've heard things, unless you count the picture that I took as seeing a ghost. I don't know. But I love to watch, stuff like ghost shows, the Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, and the show you were on, all sorts of stuff, I just love all that kind of stuff. So I do believe in it, or I want to believe in it, but I have not seen one for myself yet, but that's what you just got to keep the hope alive and keep searching.
Well, you have to, I always find in a way you have to believe in order to see it. But at the same time, believing in it sort of can produce more of it. Like just filming those films might actually
Yeah.
increase it for you. I know for me, I'm a skeptic myself.
Mm-hmm.
I like proof of everything, and I like to dispute it and make sure that there's actual proof and evidence before I say, okay, that's definitely what it is. So
Yeah.
as a detective, like I'm a private detective, a psychic detective, I'll sort of research it and make sure that everything else is ruled out
Yeah.
before I assume. I don't want to assume or guess that that's what that was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But once you realize that that's what it is, that's when the spooky feeling comes.
Oh, for
When you
sure.
rule out everything else and
Mm-hmm.
definitely this is something supernatural, then you get really spooked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're like, you got your what is it, EKE meter or PKE meters where you're getting the electricity, and like, well, there's no sources of this. There's, where is this coming from? Yeah. So I mean, it can be fascinating when you rule out all the possibilities and there's only a handful of things left. It's like, well, then I guess maybe this is. And there also is something, I should have read up on this before we talked, but there's like ghosts to atoms or something like that. There are atoms that can pass through other atoms or something like that. There's phantom atoms or something. So like, okay, well, those exist. So if that's a real thing, why couldn't ghosts be made up of that? Or some other, there's also the argument that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So what happens to our energy when we pass? If it can't be destroyed, what happens to it? So there's all the 27 grams, all that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but all sorts of stuff.
Well, I can verify the part about the energy, how it doesn't die, because as a medium, the spirits talk to me, and they've proven over and over and over again, I have no choice but to believe, because they prove themselves that they do exist. And the energy, I can guarantee it. Yeah, we do not die. Our body dies.
Right.
Spirit. Yeah.
I
Have you
can
done
believe in
any
that.
films on ghosts?
Well, I did a short film long time ago. When I worked at a hotel, I did this short film called Room 314, where I was basically working at the front desk, and I get a phone call saying, "Hey, there's a lot of noise coming from the next room." And so I walk upstairs to room 314 where these cries are coming from, and I open the door and I swing it open. I look in, and I'm like, "Hello, is there anybody in here?" And then all of a sudden a mist ghost attacks me, and then the camera falls, and kind of a Blair Witch type.
Yeah, this is spooky. It's spooky in itself. Is he frozen in time? What's going on? Okay, this is spooky. Okay, so that was Brandon Krum of Krum Studios, and he produces horror movies, and that was it. That was spooky. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't have talked about that. Maybe that caused that to happen. So check out his new project. That's Brandon Krum of Krum Studios. And this is Oracle Laura signing out for now. Check out my new guests in my next shows coming up, and you can find me on all social media, Oracle Laura.